Real Estate Post. Brian Stevens here with the National Real Estate Post. Remember, sharing is caring. So if you hit that share button, it really helps me for bringing like really fantastic information to you. And it helps you because you get to keep the conversation going about things that are pertinent and interesting to the real estate and lending community. So hitting that button, share right now, is caring. Always post in, say, hey, smiley face, we like you. Frowning face, we don't like you. Middle finger, we really don't like you. And the best thing that you can do is leave a comment about things that matter to you because they help really further the narrative in terms of the conversation that we're going to have. And if there's anything that you would like to talk to, you can always send me an instant message at this site right here, which is Mortgage Shots. The National Real Estate Post. So you could certainly go ahead and send it over here and let me know what you guys are thinking. All right, who's seeing this live right now? Who do we got? Oh, we got a whole bunch of people over here. This is great. Well, another week, Super Bowl, thumbs down on my end. I thought that whole thing seemed a little bit fixed to me, but, you know, that's another conversation for another day. What about you? Good one, bad one? I did like the halftime show. Joanna, who's in my office, brought up something that I thought was actually pretty funny. She said, and I came to this realization years ago, I did too. I'm like, oh my God, this is my demographic. Like, this is like all the commercials. Yeah.
10 years ago it was you, now it's me.
8, 7.
10.
10?
10.
How old are you?
10 years younger than you.
10 years? Like 10, 10?
10, 10. You're 72, I'm 82.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so it is 10. And then Mike Ballinger and Frank were 10 above me, so I totally understand what this is. 10 years ago, it's like, they're like, yeah, The Who's going to be here. It was like, The Who. I'm like, well, The Who's cool, but now they're doing this, and it kind of starts to make more sense. But it's interesting to see how this is absolutely being marketed to all of us, right? But isn't that really the name of the game, guys? Isn't it really marketing? And it is. And we're going to talk about a few things that I think are of interest that you guys are going to like today, that are we're going to put in context in terms of how it could affect your business, which is really important. But before I get to that, I do want to say this, is our week 2 was a absolute barn burner bitchin' webinar about how to assume other databases and understanding databases to deal with the market that's in front of us. So if you guys want to be on stage 3 of our database marketing, and it is in a way that you have never seen before, I promise you this, listen, I've been doing all this stuff longer than all of these people. Everybody who says they've been doing video marketing and database marketing, like, how long have I been doing this for? So anyways, we're going to have a great third-part series this upcoming Thursday. It would be great to have you a part of it. And somewhere in the comments down below, you're going to go ahead and find that. And all you have to do is sign up for it. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to charge you $2,500 and swear that we're experts and make you try to swallow giant pills that you can't choke down. No, we simply want you to jump on, because we over here at the National Real Estate Post and Rep and Mortgage Shots we are just advocates for loan officers. We are advocates for real estate agents, not your companies, but for you individually, be it broker or banker or Mary Stick Maker. We are here for you guys. So if you want to jump on and be a part of it, we will show you things that I promise you've never seen before. And I think it's kind of cool. So with that said, I see people here, but I'm not noticing you on my National Real Estate Post page. Why is that? Let me refresh this, and then we're going to jump into the content right now. Oh, there we are. Okay, Sam Silver, 1971. 1971, Sam. I am 1972.
By 8 days.
Right, exactly. By 8 days. I mean, I'm pretty much more 71 than I am 72, which is kind of, you know, it is definitely the demographic. What's up, dude? Just trying to make things kind of work out. Kylie Bailey, I see you there. That's wonderful to see you. It's always wonderful to see Kai. Kai's totally badass.
Good guy.
What's up, Teresa? What's up, Don? What's up, Doug? What's up, Thomas? Oh, we got that too. All right. Well, hey, like I said, this makes it way more interesting for me if you're participating. So feel free to jump in with comments at any given time. And with that said, we are going to start to enter the conversation. Now, I'm going to, let's see, credibility's on the line. All right, we're going to start here. Hold on. I want to see what I have. Oh, we're okay. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into this in a slightly different context. So it turns out right now that the CFPB is looking for comments from consumers right now to determine the importance or the lack of importance of junk fees. Now, we all know what junk fees are. Junk fees are, we call them nuisance fees. They're fees that we're willing to pay that don't really matter that much to us. So have you ever looked at one of your credit card statements or something like that, and it said, you got a $4.99 charge for, some candy corn video game or something like that. And you're like, well, it seems like it's kind of more work for you to actually run that down than it is to actually do anything about it. And we call those a nuisance fee. They're a fee that we're willing to accept, that we're not going to run down, that a service provider can go ahead and charge to us, and they can get away with it. These are what junk fees essentially are. And everybody charges them, and it is called a nuisance fee. So they can show up in the form of service charges, inflated ticket prices, resort fees, the increased cost of a hotel, mystery fees on your phone or your cable charge. We see these type of things all the time, right? These are what we would call junk fees. In fact, junk fees are late fees. They're penalties for not paying your bills that are due on time. They could be a major source of revenue for companies out there. Now, I'm going to pull that back right now. Now, I want you to think of the whole idea of two fees right now, okay? This is really interesting. I want you to think of two fees right now. So how much do you think that banks made last year off of overdraft fees? Just overdraft. Now, your average overdraft fee goes from $30 to $35. And this is great information for a loan officer or a real estate agent to be sharing with their past client database. Position yourself as the professional out there who understands what's going on and occupy this space and just own it. Own this space. So, what is your average overdraft fee? What do you guys think? Kai, there you are. Nice to see you, Kai. All right, your average overdraft fee is between $30 to $35. That means if you're somebody who's living on the lower of the socioeconomic rungs of society right now and you decide to go ahead and use that card of yours to go get a Starbucks coffee for $4 and all of a sudden you have an overdraft that kicks in, that coffee is going to cost you $35, $36. That is a cataclysmic, tectonic type of failure in terms of how we deal with people socially and economically. It is crazy. But let's go back to those real quickly. What do you guys think an overdraft fee is? All right, $25. Sam Silver, I appreciate you jumping in there. Sam says millions of dollars. Sam, you would be wrong. I mean, wrong. That's the funny thing, Sam. I asked everybody in my office and everybody lowballed this thing. Like they totally missed it, what it is. How much money do banks make in overdraft fees? This is a crazy number, Sam. I'm right there with you on this one. I'm thinking I'm like, okay, I don't know, 300 million. Well, it turns out overdraft fees, yep, Sam, it's billions. $15 billion. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right now as we sit here today, in 2019, bank revenue, overdraft, and non-sufficient fund fees surpassed $15 billion with an average cost of each charge between $30 to $35, and this is verbatim, word for word from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That is a very shocking number. And again, who does it hurt the most? It hurts the people who can least deserve it, or at least afford it, right? I mean, it's not somebody who's sitting around with $20,000 in their account and goes and gets a Starbucks coffee. No, it's a person with $13 in their account and don't know exactly where they're at with the whole damn thing. And it's the one who hurts them, the people who could least afford it. Now, here's another interesting one, okay? Late fees. Now, late fees are not overdraft fees. Overdraft fees are when you don't have enough money. So I'm going to read this to you and I want to see what you guys think about it. Late fees are penalties for not paying a bill by the due date and can be a major source of revenue for companies. Of the blank and fee charges, okay, now the blank and fee charges, so you could have a monthly fee, a service fee, an admin fee, a processing fee. These are just fees. So of the blank and fee charges that cards issue, blank represents the amount in late fees alone. So the first one is, okay, I'm gonna handicap this one for you. Late fees are penalties for not paying a bill on time by the due date and can be a major source of revenue for companies. Of the 23.6 billion with a B dollar in card charges, how much of those are associated with late fees? Of the 23.6 billion, and this has nothing to do with overdraft, nothing. These are late fees on your car payment, your revolving, closed-in debt. It could be your revolving, it could be your non-revolving, it could be either one of them. What do you think it is? Of the $23.6 billion in fees charged by card issuers in 2019, blank billion came from late fees alone. That's a pretty shocking, it's shocking to hear that, isn't it? Jacqueline says 20. 75%. Sam might be. Yeah, it is tragedy, Sam. You're right. You're right, Jacqueline. It is robbery. Okay, so it's insane. Okay, so here's what it comes down to. Again, this is verbatim from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's times like these when you wish these jerks were actually doing their job. All right, so let me finish this whole statement for you. Late fees are penalties for not paying a bill by the due date and can be a major source of revenue for companies. Of the $23.6 billion in fees charged by card issuers in 2019, $14 billion came from late fees alone. Now, if you want to put this another way, $38.6 billion in fees were charged by banks on credit cards and fees for things and services that were never rendered. There is not a single service rendered in any of that. None. Zero. Zilch. Squash. Nothing. You might even ask yourself, why are they offering these late charges and these late fees? Well, they're doing it because it's a massive, massive, massive cash cow. There it is, and what you're staring at right now on your screen, that is right from the memo, directly from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Okay, so why do I bring this up? Well, I bring this up for a reason, and I mean, this is kind of what it really comes down to. So the CFPB is looking at junk fees. Now, an overdraft fee is a junk fee. A late fee is a junk fee. A nuisance fee is a junk fee. These are all junk fees, and that's kind of a standardized term. So, when you work in the mortgage and real estate industry, think about the terms that we use right now. We have the term processing fee, admin fee, funding fee, doc prep fee, all of these fees, and what are they collectively referred to as in both the brokering and the non-brokering industry of the mortgage industry? And they're all collectively referred to as junk fees, aren't they? Now, maybe not everybody's doing that, but their nomenclature has a history in being referred to as junk fees. And it might surprise you or not surprise you to know that the industry, the CFPB, the agency, is looking at our industry and saying, well, hold on a second here. We want to get rid of these charges. And I found this one interesting because, all right, we're going to take, what are your junk fees right now? Your junk fees could be somewhere between, $900 to $2,200 per month, depending on who your mortgage company is, and really depending on what your rate is, because your rate is always going to be calibrated against what your junk fees are. In short, mortgage companies are going to get paid. Are they going to get paid through junk fees, or are they going to get paid through, charging a higher interest rate? So here's what we learned, okay? As it pertains to the mortgage and real estate industry, when it comes to the idea of junk fees, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau just put out a question that they want to have answered by people inside and outside of the industry. Here's what they suggest. Owning a home has historically been one of the best ways to build wealth. However, fees associated with closing on a home, such as doc prep and title insurance, can act as a significant barrier to families trying to buy a home or refinance and can significantly cut into household equity. Okay, so they're talking about junk fees. Now, here's what I would say here, okay? Now, you can say what you want to say, but here's what I would say. First of all, this tells me that the CFPB doesn't necessarily know what a junk fee is. Because title insurance is not a mortgage lender fee that could be categorized as a junk fee. It's a third-party fee that is going to be charged with or without the lender participating in the process. Title is going to be something that everybody is going to get. You have to, hold on to the integrity of the chain of title. That's not really a junk fee. So them putting this out there tells me they don't really understand what the business is. But here's the bigger point here, guys. Here's the bigger term, or the bigger idea. If you're going to take $1,500 in profits or in revenue, not even profits, but revenue off the table of mortgage lenders, if you're going to do that, well, they're going to make it up somewhere else. And I've said this before, and for a lot of lenders who don't understand how this whole process works, well, I could go ahead and increase my revenue on a per loan basis by charging a higher interest rate. So say the true par market is 4%, let's just say 4%, where I could sell that loan off and not make any money, but not lose any money on a rate of 4%. If I sell a rate of 3.75, I've sold something below what the market values. Then I would have to package that with money to sell it off into the secondary. All right, well, I sold this one at 3.75. You're buying 4 all day long for nothing. So I will sell you a 3.75% interest rate loan, but I'll package it with $6,000. Where you take my $6,000 and this loan, which is below market value, as paid in full, and you're going to purchase this mortgage-backed security and go ahead and service this thing. Yes, I'll do that, Brian. And of course, the lower you get down in rate, the more expensive it becomes for me to do that. I don't want to sell rates below whatever the market will bear. On the flip side of that, if 4 is what the market will bear and I can sell you an interest rate of 5%, all of a sudden I'm like, you want to buy that 4% mortgage-backed security? I got one that's paying 5% over here, tons of more money with Brian. And if I do that, these companies will actually vie for my business. Well, shit, Brian, I want that 5%, not the 4%, because they're all rated AAA by Moody's. They're all AAA rated. Everything looks perfect over here. I've got these great mortgage-backed securities that are going to pay a higher return because you got 5%, the rest of the market's got 4%. Shit, yeah, I'm going to pay this, Brian. I'm doing this. So we can always calibrate a rate going up and down no matter what. So if the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is going to go into the mortgage industry and say you're not allowed to charge junk fees, one-time upfront fees to make your profits, they're just going to force the mortgage industry into basically charging higher interest rates and allowing consumers to finance what would otherwise be junk fees over a 30-year period of their mortgage, or as long as they hold on to that mortgage. Or if it's with an EPO, 12 months, God forbid you're with a wholesaler who's going to change their EPOs, but the idea is an EPO, you got to hold on to that thing for at least 12 months. It's a real trippy scenario when you think about it. But yes, right now, as we sit here today, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking at your company's junk fees and saying, you might be doing a disservice to your clients right now by charging these fees. You could equally make an argument that you were doing a service to or for your clients by charging these one-time upfront junk fees, depending on how long they hold onto the loan. It's a very interesting dynamic right now, and a lot of people in the mortgage and real estate space don't even know this conversation is taking place right before our eyes. I find it kind of a trip. Let's see, here we at the Z's word. What's a Z word? Reg Z? Are we talking Reg Z over there, Sam Silver? I think you might be. So here's another one that I thought was kind of interesting. If you look at the St. Louis Fed chief, his name is Bullard, this guy. Now, you have to understand this. This is kind of how my mind is thinking on this thing. Bullard is looking at what's taking place right now. Let me see if I might shrink this down like this. It's kind of cool how I can move like that. Let's just do that. Okay. So the Fed chief of St. Louis, and I got to tell you, Fred, the St. Louis Fed, for people who follow the Fed on a regular basis, this is the ultimate nerdy thing to say. Fred, the St. Louis Fed, is by far the most consumer-friendly, helpful of the Fed branches across the country. St. Louis is in a league of their own. St. Louis is the Tom Brady of the Fed right now. They are. They're really great. They're the most helpful. They have the greatest analytics. They do the most stuff. But this is interesting. So this guy Bullard, now think of where he is. He's in St. Louis. You ever been to St. Louis before? I have. It's a Midwest Rust Belt city. I like it. I actually like all the Rust Belt cities, but nevertheless, that's what it is. So if you look at where St. Louis is and you go directly north, you're going to run into Cincinnati before too long. Somewhere around there. Not too far. I know they got Illinois over here, so you're going to have to like vacillate a little bit. You're going to have to either ebb or flow east or west, but you get the idea. Very shortly above you is another city that feels a hell of a lot like St. Louis. It's called, but smaller, much smaller. Charming as all hell. It's going to be called Cincinnati. So you can picture these people in St. Louis looking at all these jackholes in Southern California and all the celebrities out there and everything, and then looking at Joe Burrow, and looking at the team they put together, and then looking at the new stadium, and then looking at the celebrities, and then looking at the Rams team saying, oh my God, I want to beat these jerks from the West Coast. And then to have a game go how the game went, where they essentially didn't call a penalty until the last 2 minutes of the game, and then they called like 6 penalties, and then they didn't call a false start, that would have negated one of the penalties where the Bengals would have won the game. Or you can have Aaron Donald, who was clearly offsides on the last play of the game, according to my office manager. I saw a different footage, but nevertheless, we see that one as well. And what about the false start? I mean, there is like time after time after time. No penalties were called this entire game until the last 2 minutes. And all of these penalties and everything that took place swung all the momentum and opportunity away from Cincinnati and all to the LA Rams. Now, I'd be remiss to say, like, if I didn't realize or recognize that the entire brand of the NFL and all the franchisees make more money when you have the new $4.5 billion stadium with the new local team in LA who's notorious for, like, not following teams. Let's make them Super Bowl champions. Let's bring all the fucking Hollywood elites to the table. Let's rig the game so the Rams win this thing, and let's do it at the cost and consequence of one of these Midwestern states. I got to tell you, if I'm somebody like Bullard who's working as the Fed chief over in St. Louis, and I see... Oh, and by the way, St. Louis, where did the Rams leave from? You got it, St. Louis. So if I'm Bullard and I'm a St. Louis guy and I got another Rust Belt city next to me who got screwed out of a championship, that might make my Monday a little tough too. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm not in a good mood, I say things I regret. And I think Bullard is... honestly, I'm telling you right now, I wonder about this. I'm wondering if Bullard is the same way, because here's what he just came out and said. Now remember, we spoke about this last week where we said we're going to have like 3 to 4 raises over the next year. Bullard came out on Monday, today, and he said our credibility is on the line here. Credibility, NFL. And he said he's advocating for a rapid interest rate increase of a full percentage point. So Bullard goes, we need to do a quarter now, a quarter then, a quarter then, a quarter then. We got to work this way up, but we're going to aggressively raise rates to fight off inflation. After his local team and the city of St. Louis and Cincinnati have so much invested in what was going on with the Super Bowl, after this whole shitstorm went down over the weekend, he shows up on Monday and says, screw that, we're doing the whole thing in one fell swoop. Now, is that me over psychoanalyzing things or what? But here's the point. Always here's the point. The point is simply this. Conspiracy theory, Sam, you're right. This is a conspiracy theory, but I don't think it's too far-fetched. Here's the whole point here that I think is kind of interesting about this is what would take place had the Bengals won? Would we have a different outcome? And I kind of wonder if there might have been. I really honestly do. Nevertheless, as a loan officer or as a real estate agent, we have to understand that this is the direction. This is the momentum of the boat. As my good friend Frank Gray once said, sometimes you just have to ride a horse in the direction it wants to go. And right now, the direction of this horse is talking about rates in the mid-4s to maybe even like the high 4s by the end of 2022. And last I checked, we're already in February, about to get in March, and this stuff is going to get much more precarious as we go forward. So as a mortgage loan officer or a real estate agent, just understand if you don't start making moves right now and get away from your rate and term refinances and start really working with real estate agents and start looking at the purchase market, you will find yourself waking up one morning not too long from now and saying, I don't even recognize this market that I'm in right now, and what should I possibly do about it, and not have a solution to it. So as one friend to another, from me to you, from somebody who's concerned about those in the mortgage space, just start making some changes right now. Like, honestly, cash out refinances, non-QM is like a really great place for you guys to spend some of your time and your marketing dollars right now. But again, start looking at those referral partners. Your referral partners right now are going to be worth a fortune to you. And finally, the last one I'm going to go in here to today is Zillow's licking their wounds. So they're betting on a super app. Kian, Zillow's putting out a super app right now. They're putting out a super app. What is a super app?
Fucking awesome. Sounds amazing.
It's effing awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Awesome.
Super. Finally.
Like somebody who comes out with something called a super app is somebody who like huffs gold paint a lot.
About
What is it? It's totally awesome. You know what it's not? It's not a super duper app.
Well, it's like if Zillow was the old 50 Cent, and then when
Okay.
the Super App is the one they sell in the Super Bowl, bigger.
Okay, all right.
super.
An app is like 50 Cent from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
A super app is like 50 Cent from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much bigger and better. Awesome.
Bigger and better. Hanging upside down like a vampire and all. Oh, man. I better not like start making fun of people about their weight. You're going to start bugging me about mine, too. Easy. All right. Well, here's the whole thing. Let's do this. Oh, well, we have the super app. I'm looking for... Oh, let me lose you. There we go. So, according to Richard Barton, by the way, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Zillow just lost... let me see if I have it here. Zillow just lost $523 million this last quarter, which is a cataclysmic failure. So Richard Barton, the CEO, said, well, since we can't buy and sell houses anymore because that algorithm didn't work, he said that we are focused on building a housing super app. Aha! You better call it a super app. I mean, because we're looking at making $500 million. You ain't going to make $500 million by calling it like a partial super app. The housing app, according to investor side files with the SEC, will provide mortgage pre-approvals. Oh, interesting. Immersive shopping, which is what they do, and facilitate the personal touring and home financing. So they said 4 things here. 2 they already have done. 2 they tried to do, home financing and pre-approvals. In short, Zillow lost $500 million, and what their solution is they are going to look at all the opportunities that they have in front of them, and they decided that they were going to try to occupy the mortgage space once again. Okay? Once again. You see, Zillow bought a mortgage brokerage a number of years ago, and they figured because they're good with technology, they could figure this shit out. And it didn't work well for them. In fact, their numbers were atrocious. And so that's when Spencer took off. That's when Barton comes in. And that's when they started buying and selling homes. And they screwed that whole thing up with their algorithm. So Barton, who, again, we can't ignore the psychology behind the massive personalities of these CEOs. I mean, it's just remarkable. So what's happening with Barton right now is he said, well, here's where my next play is going to be. It's not going to be an app. It's going to be a super app. And we're going to focus on pre-approvals. Well, I hope he has a really good algorithm for this, but just keep in mind, boys and girls in the mortgage space and in the real estate space, don't buy the hype. This is all a bunch of bullshit. Stick with the lender that you have, that regional mortgage lender that you're currently working with, who's done such a great job, is going to continue doing that great job going forward. Stick with that person. Even if you haven't heard from them in years past, they were dealing with refinances in a way that didn't even make sense. But stick with them because it does make more sense. And understand, if it didn't work for them last time, there's no reason to believe it's not going to work for them now. Unless, of course, that is Mr. Barton and Zillow came up with, yes, a smarter algorithm. That's right, a smarter algorithm. All right, my friends, we're wrapping up here. I hope this was helpful. Hey, listen, sharing is caring. This is good for you. There's a bunch of great information. Use it to really set your sails in the course for your personal business as we go forward. That's always what the idea is over here. I hope it was helpful. Share it, keep the conversation going, and if there's anything I can do for you in the future, feel free to reach out to me on our Facebook page, which is going to be the National Real Estate Post, and let me know what you guys are thinking. With that said, you guys make it a great Monday, and I can't wait to talk to you.